creating a budget is like having a roadmap to financial freedom. It's not as scary as it sounds, and with a little planning and discipline, you can make your money grow like never before. Let's take the example of Sarah, who earns $3,000 per month working as a marketing manager. She wants to pay off her student loans, travel more, and build up her savings for a down payment on a house. But without a budget, she finds it hard to prioritize these financial goals. So, she starts by tracking all of her income, not just her monthly paycheck but also any freelance work or side hustles. As she adds up all her essential expenses like rent, utilities, groceries, transportation costs, and minimum payments on her student loans, she realizes that these expenses come out to a total of $2,350 per month. That leaves around 10% of her income left over each month for non-essential spending like dining out or taking weekend trips. But here's where the magic happens. Using the 50-30-20 rule as a guideline, Sarah allocates 50% of her income towards necessary expenses, 30% for discretionary spending, and 20% towards saving and debt repayment. Of course, this is just a starting point. She may need to adjust these numbers based on her individual circumstances. For instance, if she has high-interest debt or no savings at all, it's better to focus on getting those expenses under control before moving on to other financial goals. And that's exactly what Sarah does. She uses the money left over for saving and debt repayment to pay off her student loans and build up her emergency fund. Now, let's take another example, Emily, who earns $4,000 per month and has essential expenses coming out to around 60% of her income, $2,400 per month. That leaves 40% for discretionary spending, or $1,600. In this scenario, perhaps Emily could allocate half of that towards entertainment and the other half towards saving up for a big purchase like a new laptop or paying off some credit card debt. But remember, budgeting isn't just about cutting back on unnecessary expenses, it's also about saving for the future and investing in your financial stability. It's time to take control of your finances, prioritize what matters most, and start building towards financial freedom. And don't be too hard on yourself if you slip up. We all make mistakes, but the key is to learn from them and keep moving forward. The goal of creating a budget isn't perfection, it's progress. To make things even more manageable, try using budgeting apps or spreadsheets to track your expenses over time. This can help you identify areas where you can cut back and save more, whether that's reducing subscription services like Netflix or cutting down on takeout. I'd like to give a shout out to some popular budgeting tools that can make tracking expenses easier: Mint, You Need a Budget, and Personal Capital. These apps can help you stay on top of your finances and even offer personalized recommendations for improving your financial health. Take Rachel, who uses Mint to track her income and expenses. She discovers that she's been overpaying for insurance every month, $50 more than she needs to be paying. With this newfound knowledge, she switches providers and saves herself around $600 per year. And then there's Emily, who uses YNAB to prioritize her expenses. She finds that by focusing on saving for specific goals, like paying off credit card debt or building an emergency fund, she's able to make significant progress towards financial stability. Finally, let's talk about the importance of flexibility in your budget. Remember, a budget isn't set in stone. It should be flexible enough to adapt as your income changes, financial goals shift, or unexpected expenses pop up. Maybe Emily's credit card debt gets paid off early, or Sarah lands a promotion that raises her salary. Either way, the budget can adjust accordingly. I recall talking to Maria, who was struggling with managing her finances after quitting her job to start her own business. She had no idea how she would make ends meet on her own income, but using a simple budgeting app helped her keep track of expenses and identify areas for cost cutting. In conclusion, creating a budget takes time, but the payoff is well worth it. Imagine having peace of mind knowing that you're in control of your financial future. It's not just about cutting back on unnecessary expenses, it's also about saving for the future and investing in your financial stability. So, take the first step today and start building towards financial freedom. Remember, a simple monthly budget can be created in just a few minutes using basic calculations and some smart prioritization strategies. Don't be too hard on yourself if you slip up. We all make mistakes, but the key is to learn from them and keep moving forward. Now, I'd like to share another example of someone who successfully used a budget to achieve financial stability. Meet David, who earns $5,000 per month working as an IT consultant. He wants to save for his children's education, pay off his mortgage, and travel more with his family. David starts by tracking all of his income, including any side hustles or freelance work he does on the side. He adds up all his essential expenses like rent, utilities, groceries, transportation costs, and minimum payments on his mortgage. This comes out to a total of $3,750 per month, leaving around 25% of his income left over for non-essential spending. David uses the 50-30-20 rule as a guideline and allocates 50% towards necessary expenses, 30% for discretionary spending, and 20% towards saving and debt repayment. As he prioritizes his financial goals, David realizes that he needs to focus on paying off his mortgage faster. He uses the money left over for saving and debt repayment to make extra payments on his mortgage, which helps him pay it off several years ahead of schedule. And then there's Rachel, who wants to start her own business but is worried about how she'll manage her finances. She starts by tracking all of her income and expenses using a budgeting app like Mint or YNAB. As she adds up all her essential expenses like rent, utilities, groceries, transportation costs, and minimum payments on her credit card debt, she realizes that these expenses come out to a total of $2,350 per month. That leaves around 10% of her income left over for non-essential spending. But here's the thing, Rachel wants to start her own business, which means she'll need to have some extra money set aside for unexpected expenses or emergencies. So, she allocates more towards saving and debt repayment, using the 50-30-20 rule as a guideline. As she prioritizes her financial goals, Rachel realizes that she needs to focus on paying off her credit card debt faster. She uses the money left over for saving and debt repayment to make extra payments on her credit card debt, which helps her pay it off several years ahead of schedule. In conclusion, creating a budget takes time, but the payoff is well worth it. Imagine having peace of mind knowing that you're in control of your financial future. It's not just about cutting back on unnecessary expenses, it's also about saving for the future and investing in your financial stability.